The first place that Team Avatar visits is Kyoshi Island. This is for very good reason. Aang wants to ride on a giant koi. The world of Avatar is a fantastical one. Enormous and magical creatures are just part of everyday life. And so the group lands on the bay of Kyoshi Island, and Aang goes into the water to ride on the big fish. But as he does so, he attracts unwanted attention from and is attacked by the Unagi of Kyoshi Island. This is an enormous eel that eats even the giant koi as just a snack. Aang hurries back to the shore, where his party is then immediately ambushed by an armed group, the Kyoshi warriors. They capture Team Avatar and carry them to Kyoshi village, where they are questioned on suspicion of being Fire Nation. Aang reveals that he's the Avatar, displaying his airbending as proof. They are immediately let go, and the news spreads through the village like wildfire, and of course, even travels outside of the village. Up till now, the world assumed the Avatar was lost forever, but now he's returned. Aang becomes a living attraction, something that he thoroughly enjoys and revels in. This annoys Katara, which is fair, because Aang is being annoying. He's clearly forgetting the greater goal and letting himself be swept away by the attention. He spends all of his time trying to impress any who are looking to be impressed, although he finds himself needing to take on increasingly bigger and more reckless feats to do so. Eventually, the interest wavers, and he learns that this isn't who he wants to be. I'm hand-waving this part of the episode because it's really not that important compared to Sokka's story. Jumping back in time a little, after getting captured, Sokka finds himself surrounded by warriors wearing a dress as a battle costume and makeup as war paint. They are girls, and he immediately asks where the men are that captured them. In response, he's made fun of, and the Kyoshi warriors explain that there are no men, it was them. Sokka dismisses this, but still seeks out their training grounds, where he challenges the Kyoshi warriors' leader, Suki, to a spar. He's easily defeated and leaves, upset. A little while later, he returns and apologizes, bowing before Suki and humbly asking to be trained by her. He very explicitly states that he was wrong in his sexism and that he would be honored to receive her guidance. Suki accepts, but under one condition. Sokka has to follow all their traditions, including their uniform and their makeup. He agrees, and from that point on, we see Sokka and Suki training together. The Kyoshi warriors are depicted on a range of cards. They're all fairly simple, various iterations of basic attackers. Kyoshi warriors makes an ally token when they enter, which shows that they act as a group. The same idea is also expressed in Kyoshi warrior exemplars, which buffs the board, and Suki, Kyoshi warrior, who is as big as we control creatures and creates an ally token when attacking. This was a good element to focus on. The Kyoshi warriors are competent fighters, but by no means unbeatable. They aren't benders and are all still young. But they are a good team, and that goes a long way. While Team Avatar is enjoying their time in Kyoshi village, word has spread to Zuko. He arrives and starts attacking the village, setting fire to many of its buildings and threatening to destroy it in its entirety. Team Avatar and the Kyoshi warriors fight back, but quickly realize that the best option is for Aang and his group to flee. This fight is depicted on Stand United. If you take a close look, you can see that the two Kyoshi warriors are Suki and Sokka, who is wearing their traditional outfit. As he has to leave, Sokka apologizes to Suki one last time. He tells her that he shouldn't have treated her like a girl, but a warrior. Suki then responds by giving him a kiss and telling him that she's a warrior, but she's also a girl. This is a pivotal moment in Sokka's sexism, who from this point forward becomes a lot more open-minded and accepting. As the gang flees, Zuko stops attacking the village and tries to chase them down. But the village is still aflame. Looking back onto that horrific sight, Aang jumps off of Appa and into the ocean below. Moments later, the Unagi pops out again, with Aang steering it from its head. He uses it to spray water at the village, extinguishing the fires, and then he leaps from it back on top of Appa and they disappear. The Unagi isn't an essential part of this episode, but it still received 2 separate cards, one of which is clearly designed to be a bit of a chase card for Commander. We're going to see more of this as we journey through the story. Magic's designers really like the big monsters and spirits of the world, giving them disproportional representation. As a Magic player, I have no issue with this. I like big monsters, but that also means they took a lot of liberties when designing these cards, as they are vastly more important in the set than they are in the show. The Unagi of Kyoshi Island is a blue 5-mana 5/5 serpent with flash. This shows how it can appear seemingly out of nowhere, although that is a bit of a stretch because, well, it's really big and people definitely notice it before it arrives. It also has a Wettenberg 4, which is an interesting ward cost, implying that to fight the Unagi, waterbending is required. We don't really know if that's accurate, since nobody ends up fighting the Unagi. Another possible explanation though could be that the Unagi is a waterbender itself, which isn't ever explicitly stated, but we do know for sure that all kinds of animals have varying degrees of bending abilities. Appa is the best example here. He flies through the air using airbending, and I think there's also a fairly easy argument to be made that Momo has to be airbending as well, as otherwise there's no way those small wings could support that big of a body. The Unagi's spray could quite reasonably be interpreted as waterbending, and the ward cost might be a reference to that. Although its final ability, whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, we draw 2 cards, is purely mechanical.